This week we get a little bit dark and brooding with Batman Arkham Origins from Warner Bros Montreal. We also have an amazing treat for you from Disney as part of our behind the scenes look at brand new mobile game Where's My Mickey, and a look at all the latest from 1998 with Jimmy the Geek. This is Player Attack. But first, the latest gaming news, and I'm afraid we've got some more bad news for Australian gamers. State of Decay is the latest game to fall foul of the classification board. The new digital-only survival horror game was released on Xbox Live in early June around the world, but the inclusion of real-world medications saw the game refused classification down under. These medications, including methadone, morphine, amphetamines, ibuprofen, codeine, tracker pills, and aspirin, act to restore a player's health or boost their stamina. The classification board has found that they also tread a little too closely to some real-world substances, and encouraging drug use related to incentives or rewards means the game is now effectively banned from sale or display in Australia. The decision means State of Decay is the second game to be refused classification since the introduction of the R18 adults-only rating in January, following on from Saints Row 4 last week. Deep Silver is currently working on a low-violence version of Saints Row 4 for the Australian market, but no word on whether or not Undead will revive State of Decay. Us locals might just have to miss out on the latest zombie invasion. Microsoft was also in the headlines this week after stories started circulating that Age of Empires was being developed for iOS and Android devices. For 24 glorious hours, we rejoiced in the idea of a Pocket Edition RTS after Japanese studio K-Lab told the media it was working on the project. Didn't take long for Microsoft to squish those dreams though, citing pesky translation errors for the big reveal. Xbox boss Phil Spencer took to Twitter to explain that, despite what we might want, the company is not bringing Xbox games to non-Microsoft devices. On to happier news, The Walking Dead 400 Days is out right now with the DLC designed to fill the gap between the recently finished Season 1 and the upcoming Season 2. Decisions you make in this game will affect the way you play through the next one, so make sure you choose wisely. If you want to get your hands on 400 Days, you need to have bought at least the first episode of the original series of The Walking Dead on your preferred platform. You don't need to have played through all 5 episodes, but it's probably a good idea if you want some sort of context. And speaking of context, the sex hotline references have been removed from The Last of Us. Turns out that simply changing a phone number to include 555 won't render it unusable, as a Naughty Dog artist discovered earlier this month. In their travels, Joel and Ellie come across a poster advertising pest control services with a phone number. In the real world, gamers decided to dial the digits and were answered by a real-world sex hotline. The poster has been modified again in the 1.02 patch, which also tweaks some multiplayer elements. In other news, there have been a couple of disappointing last-minute delays announced, including the appropriately titled Plants vs Zombies 2, It's About Time. This one was due to hit iOS devices on July 18, but PopCap has backflipped, pushing the Green Thumb Tower Defense title back to later in the American summer. Stay tuned for some more details on that one. Also missing its release date, Nvidia's handheld gaming console, Shield. The Android device was planned to be out this week in the US, but a mechanical issue popped up during final quality assurance testing, seeing the entire process come to a grinding halt. No new date has been given just yet for the US or Australia, but Nvidia is working with the third-party component suppliers to ensure the finished project is up to their exacting standards. One of the more confusing stories of the week comes to us from Maxis, who was accused of abandoning 2011 sci-fi role-player Darkspawn. The game has been plagued by save-breaking bugs and server errors for months now, with issues finally coming to a head as Steam removed the broken title from its virtual shelves. Gamers proclaimed that this was the problem with always-on DRM. Once the verification servers die, the game dies with it. EA didn't seem to care about the problem, as a Maxis spokesperson made the statement that Darkspawn was, for almost all intents and purposes, an abandoned title. However, it seems at least one person was still working on the game. Within 24 hours, another representative had hopped online announcing a fix for a server-side error that had been affecting every single Darkspawn gamer. Within a few hours of making that announcement, Steam had reinstated the game and all was back to normal, if a little more confused. For more details and to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
This city has a problem. Some freak who thinks he's a hero. Luckily, there ain't a problem in the world that can't be solved with a little bit of money.
He doesn't walk into a room and say, "You're under arrest, you're coming with me." Instead, he sets his explosive charges, blows the door off of the hinges, the lights go out, the ground shakes, everyone's scared looking around, there's smoke pouring in the room, and then you just see a shape with glowing eyes. He's a myth, he's an urban legend. There are a couple of people who've had their arms broken by him who don't want to talk about him for fear of retribution. The cops don't know if he exists. In their the GCPD, they've got posters up with pictures of bats and vampires and Dracula and ghosts, and like they have no idea who this creature is because they've never actually encountered him. By year 2, he's Batman. Like, he's got some cool gadgets, he's got his moves, he makes mistakes, but he makes awesome mistakes, right? He's choking someone out to get information, and he chokes just a little bit too hard, and the guy passes out, and he's like, "Oh, damn, now what am I gonna do?" That's the kind of cool mistake to make. We've shown at our demo today, and we've announced, all over far and wide, that Joker plays a role in this game, a role that is as of yet unannounced. But certainly there's some really interesting opportunities in suggesting what's going to happen here. Like, this is really early career. Do these guys know each other? Do they not know each other? What's going to happen there? So playing with the origins of those key relationships is a big deal for us. Lots of familiar faces, rewound, refreshed, our own spin, our own take on what those characters look like and how they eventually become the characters that we know and love from Asylum and City, plus a ton of new faces as well. To make a game with this quality bar, with this level of expectations from the fan, from the company, from ourselves, is a huge pressure. It really is. But on the flip side, it's also a huge opportunity because we inherited, on day 1, we were given on a golden platter all of the code, all of the assets from one of the highest ranked games of all time. Every character we made, every cinematic, every story arc, every gameplay feature that we created, it had to be Arkham quality. If it wasn't Arkham quality, we killed it.
If you've ever wanted to show off your mad gaming skills but had no way of getting the footage off of your console, have we got a treat for you. The Roxio Game Capture HD Pro console has just been launched in Australia, and it makes recording, streaming and sharing almost as easy as playing the game itself. The handy device will record straight to your PC using HDMI or component output, and you can capture gaming footage in HD, stream it directly to your Twitch TV account, or upload it to YouTube, Facebook or Rooster Teeth. The Roxio Game Capture HD Pro console retails for $179.95, but we have one to give away to a lucky Player Attack viewer. Thanks to the team at Mindscape Asia Pacific, we also have a stack of great games to go with it, including Pro Evo Soccer and Metal Gear, because what good's a game recording device if you don't have anything to record? All you have to do to win this amazing pack is head to playerattack.com, follow the links to the Roxio competition, fill out your name and contact details, and enter the secret word which is on your screen right now. The competition is open to anyone in Australia and runs all the way up until July 15th, with the winner announced on Player Attack Friday, July 19th. For the full terms and conditions, see our website.
AvCon is back, bigger and better than ever before. Get set to go back to school for all your favourites, including premiere anime screenings, video game tournaments, as well as our ever-famous cosplay competitions, quiz night, plus much more. Meet special guests Chris Kaysen, Evangelion Spike Spencer, as well as cosplay superstar Jessica Negri. Or check out the hundreds of artists and exhibitors for great deals and exclusive merchandise on our massive exhibitor floor. AvCon, Adelaide's biggest anime and video game festival. Tickets on sale now online and in selected stores. For more information, visit avcon.org.au. Down at the Adelaide Convention Centre, July 12th to 14th. Don't miss it.
Player Attack was recently invited behind the scenes at Disney Mobile's California studios to take a sneaky peek at the team's brand new game, Where's My Mickey? We dropped in during the last few days of development and were able to watch some of the magic at work. Building on the successes of earlier games like Where's My Water and Where's My Perry, it made a lot of sense for the developer to turn to its most well-known and well-loved character in this new look, new feel physics puzzler. We caught up with Bart de Creme, Senior Vice President and General Manager of Disney Mobile, for a quick chat.
The studio is all about, first and foremost, what Tim Fitzgerald calls it, what's the toy? You know, the thing that you do with your fingers that's just so satisfying. And so the Where's My gameplay mechanics, which are about physics-based puzzles that use elements that everybody knows, you know, what's water, how does it cut through soil, all of that stuff is there. And then we take it in new directions. When we go from Where's My Water to Where's My Mickey, now we have clouds and we have wind and we have sun, and sun makes things grow, and the wind makes the cloud blow over, and clouds absorb water and then they release water. So all that stuff that we all know, it layers that on top of the core, cutting through soil, and so it's still there, but it gives us new opportunity for great new puzzles. And then we say, how does that fit the world? Where does that overlap with the world of Mickey and his friends? And that's how you end up, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, you need water. Or in the case of Goofy, which is one of my favorite stories, he learns how to paint, now he needs paint. So then you bring paint to his paint bucket. And so really taking both parts of it very, very seriously. What's the gameplay? How does that fit these characters in that universe? How do we make that really work?
The Disney Mobile team are masters of making things really work. Over the past 12 months, Where's My Water has seen a 300% increase in players, now boasting more than 200 million installs worldwide. Where's My Mickey is set to continue this tradition, combining the world's most recognizable character with the #1 mobile gaming series.
So that the yin and yang of what I think has made the studio so successful is a really good understanding of it all starts with the fun thing that you do with your finger, that toy, as we like to call it here in the studio. Then we ask ourselves, well, what's the world where this all takes place? And then the third thing we do is we say, well, how do you deliver success on a very noisy platform, the App Store, the App Store's Google Play? And the answer is you build exceptional quality and gameplay. You bring different IPs into it as the gameplay evolves. That's how Mickey steps in. And then you build platforms. And so, but you don't build them in a sloppy manner. You take the Where's My Water gameplay and you say, okay, well, how can we keep evolving that and raising the bar on the mechanics, raising the bar on the art and animation, so that you keep over-delivering to the guests, as we call them.
Over-delivering is a theme at the Disney Studios, no matter which office you're in. While we were in California, we also headed over to the Walt Disney Archives. We had spent the morning looking to the future, but Justin Arthur shared with us a very special look at the past.
As many of you know, Walt Disney's first cartoon character that was a big hit was actually Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, who premiered in 1927. Well, when Walt faced problems with the distributors when he went to New York, he actually found out that they were going to be taking away the rights of the character Oswald and many of his animators. And as Walt always told the story, or as the fable sort of went, Mickey was thought up by Walt on that train ride from New York back to Los Angeles. Walt worked hard with iWorks, who was his sort of best animator at the time, and they were working side by side with these animators who were also working on the Oswald cartoons that had already been hired off. And so meanwhile, they were working on, sort of secretively at nighttime, Walt and his more loyal staffers had stuck around and they were working on a Mickey short called Plain Crazy. which was silent like all of the Oswald cartoons and all the cartoons were in those days. And so they produced that one, and they produced another Mickey Mouse short called Gallopin' Gaucho, which also was a silent film, but Walt was having a little bit of trouble selling these cartoons, and he was thinking of, bigger, grander ideas. And so they worked on a cartoon with the idea that it would have synchronized sound. And that very first cartoon was Steamboat Willie, and we now know that as Mickey's screen debut because that was his first appearance on the big screen in public, and they had to work really hard to have synchronized sound because nobody had ever done that in a cartoon.
Now, if you've been paying attention, you will have noticed the brand new art style for Mickey, Goofy and the gang. 85 years after that classic train ride, and Mickey is returning to his roots with a brand new series of animated shorts coming out this year. They're designed to reintroduce our favourite rodent to an all-new generation as the very talented Paul Rudish revisits the old-school rubber hose designs. Disney Mobile grabbed the idea and ran with it.
Paul on Disney Animation has done to bring to life Mickey for these new shorts. It's just so much fun. It's the Mickey that you know. He's beautiful, the scenery, the humor. He explores, he saves the day, he gets into trouble, he gets out of trouble, and I think it really resonates with the generation that we're speaking to. There's a whole new generation of kids and families and people all around the world that are discovering Disney, and for many of them, the iPhone, the iPad, the new tablet platforms, Android, Microsoft, this is now becoming increasingly the first screen, and it's really great to be able to just pull on that work that Paul has done with the Mickey shorts and combine it with the Where's My gameplay and take that in new directions.
Where's My Mickey is out right now for iPhone, iPad, Windows Phone and Android, so check your local app stores for details and pricing. But in case you wanted another look at just what the artists have been up to, we have a very special treat for Player Attack viewers. This is the first of the brand new Mickey shorts right here on Player Attack.
Café croissant.
Café, croissant.
Croissant, café.
Café croissant.
C'est bon. La 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 la. Oh, je n'ai plus de croissants. Daisy, j'ai besoin de croissants maintenant. Mickey, Minnie a besoin de croissants. Dépêche-toi, c'est urgent.
Café Minnie, allons-y. Mademoiselle, mademoiselle.
Oui, oui, café.
Croissant.
Omelette.
Croissant.
Soufflé.
Croissant.
Croissant. Croissant.
Magnifique. Des croissants, s'il vous plaît.
Mickey, par ici, j'ai rattrapé tes croissants.
Attention tout le monde, voici les croissants.
Oh là là.
Vive les croissants.
Mon chevalier.
Jimmy the Geek here in 1998. The big news this year, Blizzard, riding high on their medieval strategy, have moved to the other end of the nerd spectrum by heading into space. StarCraft puts 3 species, Terrans, Protoss and Zerg, in a battle over distant parts of the galaxy. Each race has their own unique abilities, which theoretically balances the game, and as a result, we're expecting a huge competitive scene to emerge. If you'd rather take on an army by yourself, a new FPS is making big waves. Players take the role of a theoretical physicist who must fight his way through an underground bunker filled with interdimensional monsters, armed with only his wits and a sturdy crowbar. Half-Life is built on a heavily modified version of the Quake engine, and makes heavy use of scripted actions to tell its story. It's an ambitious project filled in a year full of ambitious projects, including a new game from Epic called Unreal, and the new Jurassic Park property which makes use of in-game physics called Trespasser. Adventure games may be on the way out, but there's still one stunning punch left to throw. Tim Schafer and the team from LucasArts have put forward their most ambitious effort to date. Grim Fandango follows the adventures of Grim Reaper Manny Calavera, who is a glorified travel agent in this universe. A sprawling noir adventure full of shoutouts and parodies of Bogart films is what's on offer, as well as a colourful array of creatures, including a flaming beaver and a literal speed demon. The game is rendered in a wonderful style of Calica and Art Deco, and is the first adventure game since Labyrinth that LucasArts have produced without the Scum engine. Link is making his triumphant debut into the realm of 3D, in the 5th installment into the Legend of Zelda series. Originally designed to go with the N64 DD peripheral, this new cartridge is the biggest game Nintendo have ever produced, clocking in at a massive 32 meg. Our Hyrulean hero must defeat Ganondorf across several time periods. For the first time, context-sensitive controls have been featured in an adventure game, and music plays a huge part in the game's plot, as one of the Link's items is the titular Ocarina of Time. On the off chance you're a social animal, Nintendo have that covered there as well, with one of the truest descriptions of video board game since Nightmare. Mario Party puts the Mushroom Kingdom's favourite residents through a series of minigames, all flavoured by traditional board games on the N64. There are already reports coming in of broken controllers, as many of the minigames require you to spin the analog stick as quickly as possible. Just a word of warning, Mario would never willingly cause a friendship to die, but if you're the type of person who takes Monopoly very seriously, you might not want to play this with friends. Finally, Konami have put forward a new game for the PlayStation. Hideo Kojima, the game's director, wanted to create a balance between realism and tension to form the greatest PlayStation game ever. The focus is on stealth, and players sneak and creep their way through a sprawling plot involving spies, humongous nuclear-capable mecha, and psychic ninjas, all of which is heavily supported through cutscenes. There is predicted to be a big future from Metal Gear Solid. I'm Jimmy the Geek in 1998.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, we head to the PopCap Garden to find out what's in store with Plants vs. Zombies 2 and get all super stealthy with the latest in Ubisoft's Tom Clancy series, Splinter Cell Blacklist. While all that's going on, Jimmy the Geek gets ready to party like it's 1999. In the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com. Player Attack will also be at the 5th annual Monash Computer Games Bootcamp this weekend, and we will also be at AvCon, Adelaide's premier anime and video games convention on July 12 to 14. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.